G'day, comrade, and welcome to Workers and Resources Soviet Republic with me, Jitty. With 1.0 right around the corner and me having a chance to play the preview build for a little while now, I think it's about time I put together a quick little video to explain some of the things coming in 1.0 and some of the things you need to look out for if you're going to migrate your save from, well, the early access version up to 1.0. Before we get into, well, the new additions to the game, the new changes to the game, and also some of the other things you need to look forward to, I'm going to ask a very important question for a very short video, and that is, well, can I borrow a like? I just like to borrow a like. I like to borrow a like early in the video. If you're not happy with the video, you didn't enjoy the video, by all means, well, you can have your like back. Now, let's talk about some of the additions, some of the changes. So, we have a whole strip of buildings here, all of which have been updated, but the updates only apply in, well, a new version of the building. So we have the good old substation. We have, well, both a road version and also a footpath version, and I'm going to use the pick building infrastructure tool. So I just duplicate the existing building, and you might notice something different about the substation straight away. It has 3 power connections. Now, the power connections, you can't daisy chain them. You can't bring power into this building, then out from this building. But what you can do is you can plug it into multiple grids, or you could use, well, some of the other changes that have happened with the electrical network. You now have, with the underground wires, they've had a slight voltage bump, which means a substation, as we all might know, if you've been playing regularly for a long time now, have 2.5 megawatts. Now, in the above ground wires, you've never really been able to get 2.5 megawatts, but now with a pair of underground wires, you can get 1.85 from the medium voltage large wire, plus a 0.65 from the little wire, which will get you to that neat 2.5 that you're looking for. It does mean 2 wires, it does mean twice the amount of cabling, but it's now possible. But yes, all 3 of these wires also got a bump, just a small buff, those little things that really matter. All right, next up we have open storage, both the small and the medium. And if I pick up the new one, you can see it has 2 extra factory connections, left and right, that the old one doesn't have. Yes, it does mean that you need to rebuild these buildings to get these new connections. I have, well, the ones on screen now are from pre 1.0. Yeah, but that's okay. Some things are going to be worth rebuilding, other things are not going to be worth rebuilding. All right, next one I want to talk about is the technical office, the vehicle repair station, the construction office, the deconstruction office, and of course the rail construction office. All of these have a max range. Normally it's 3,000 meters, the exception being the rail construction office had a max range of 4,500 meters. Well, now these have all been increased by an extra 500 meters. Also, you can have a custom amount. So we can go to the demolition office, take that up to 3,500. Construction office, 3,500. The repair office, 3,500. Unfortunately, they don't go past 3,500. But one thing they do, please, helicopters. Bad helicopters. Oh. Turn off auto build. Yeah, auto build from Rebels. There you go. Problem solved. All right. One thing they do is you can now put in a custom range here. So you could type in 250 meters. And as you can see, well, we can have a much shorter range. Hell, I've actually used this already in the vehicle repair station and typed in a very short range because I really only want it to repair the things right around it. I have other vehicle repair stations to, cover things further away, and I've used one of these to repair just the trains or just the metros that are directly connected to this station. So you can now put in custom ranges. I've also used it for technical offices. So rather than them wandering halfway across the map, because we can only increment or de-increment them by 1,000 meters at a time, I've set a custom range of, 1,250 meters, which was enough to cover just the range I wanted without wandering out of one industrial zone into another. Speaking of other things that had increased factory connections, we have the dump. So we have the dump claw machine, small, large, and railway. All of these now actually have extra factory connections on the left and right, which is going to make automating a lot of processes a whole lot easier. So they've had an increase as well. Nothing else has really changed with them, just more factory connections. All right, next thing I want to talk about is, well, again, factory connections. We have the sawmill. The sawmill originally, if you look at my original one, only has the one at the rear and the 2 at the front, which, made you make symbols like this for wood cutting. It now has more options, so you can have more factory connections should you need more factory connections. Same goes for the wood cutting post. It had just one connection on the side. It now has a total of 4 connections, so you'll find a lot of buildings in the game have more factory connections overall, which is just going to make automation a whole lot easier. Other things that have had updates, not factory connections this time, but well, aggregate connections. We have the gravel outbow, or the gravel, gravel processing? Gravel processing plant. Yeah, that's the one. Which did get an update recently. Well, it got a couple of updates. One, it got conveyor connections outright, but as you can see, if I can line this on top of the old one, it now has 2 extra ones left and right, and that's just going to make getting things in and out of these buildings a little bit easier. Next one I actually want to look at is over here. It's going to be coal processing. Coal processing, same story. Can I rotate you around and flip you? And then rotate you again? Yep. This already had 4 on the back side, let's go with, and 2 on the left side. It's got a 3rd one on the left, plus 1 on the front, which would have made my whole job a whole lot easier, rather than trying to, well, fit a conveyor engine in between 2 of these. I can just have everything come straight out the front. So much easier. Also has an extra one on the right. So again, a lot more flexibility. It's one of the things that I've been going through, and I've been trying to automate a whole lot of processes in workers and resources, and try and do some tutorial videos for those that be new to the game for, well, 1.0 release. And I found a lot of buildings and a lot of designs you can only build in one sort of way, just due to the limit of how the connections went together. And this is going to give us a lot more freedom to make a lot more unique designs. Also, probably a lot less frustration with only having one choice where I can connect and disconnect things from. Next one I want to stop at is the incinerator, the power plant version. Again, more factory connections. So this originally had 2 factory connections. It now has 2 extras, which is going to be very, very important if you want to get things done. You know, just a little bit more choices for your ins and your outs. Also meant that normally, by the time you connected this factory connection, if you hadn't laid in the power pole already, you couldn't lay the power pole in. Now you have options. Other things that had more connections added was Bricksworks didn't, the prefabs didn't. Rotate around it, load over the top. No, it didn't either. The concrete plant didn't. Nothing here did. I do have buildings over here that definitely did. We have scrapyard didn't get changed, but so we have the coal processing plant. It has the extra connections. The good news is, if I line you up, that way. No, that is coal. The good news is, if I pick up an iron one and do the exact same, game, I don't want to zoom. I want to flip, rotate, and try and put this over the top. It's also matched, so it has the extra 1 connection on the back left-hand side, plus the extra connection on the right-hand side, plus an extra connection at the front. Again, it's just going to make life a whole lot easier. Other things that got updates are, if we come over here, so we have plastic recycling. Plastic recycling used to have just 1 factory connection, which was, actually, no, I take that back. It had a couple on the side as well. But it now has an extra one on the right-hand side. So again, it now has a connection on every different side for just more options. We also have aluminium recycling. It used to only have 1 connection. That's right. That was the one that had 1 connection. And if I rotate you around and flip you that way, it now has connection left and right as well. Again, just to make life a little bit easier. Next one is metal recycling. Metal recycling, same story. It now has, well, it had 1 at the bottom, let's go with, and 1 on the left. It now has a second one on the left and 1 on the right as well. Again, just more options. We have general separation didn't get an update from memory. No, general separation didn't. The hazardous waste treatment didn't. But what did get an update was the incinerator plant. So in the incinerator plant, this is the large version. A lot of people use the large version mainly because it had, well, 4 factory connections, 2 on the bottom side and 2 on the bottom side and 2 on the left side. They've now added 2 at the top side as well. So you have even more options to spreading out your ash, you know, after you've incinerated everything. The other one was the heating version. The heating version, I don't think did. No, the heating incinerator did not get any extra factory connections, so don't get your hopes up there. We also got a lot of high-end stuff also got more factory connections. This is a prime example of something that only sort of strung together in one way. If you had a steel mill that you wanted to output into a storage, so you had that sort of extra internal buffer, and then wanted to make mechanical components directly out of the steel mill, well, it only had 2 factory connections. The new building, which you're only going to get the new connections if you build the new building, has, an extra 2 in the bottom left, an extra 1 on the right, and an extra 2 in the top right. So again, just more factory connections to make your life just a little bit easier. None of the warehouses or the train depots have extra factory connections because they were pretty much maxed out as was. We also have a whole lot of high-end things that I'm not going to go into, but some of the things in nuclear got more factory connections. Electronics got more factory connections from memory, as did vehicle production line, I think. There's a number of high-end buildings that have more factory connections, but we've also have some new buildings. So let's take a moment and talk about the new buildings. So under trees, we have, of course, our monuments, but now we have 3 monuments just for the children. It's important. You need to think for the children. Think about the children. We have the wonderful children's playground. These all affect 100 meters and give a kids' sports enjoyment influence of plus 3%. I have a feeling that's going to be changing in the next couple of days, but we have a large one, a medium one, and a small one. And as you can see, well, they all do the exact same for right now, but I'm willing to bet that's going to change. They all have 4 connections for footpaths, and no, people can't path in one side and out the other. Because let's face it, who wants to walk through a kid's playground? Not I. All right, next one we have is under residential. Under the culture options, we have an amphitheater. So amphitheater is going to cover, well, going to need 5 workers and have a max 150 visitors. Much like the cinema. Cinema is the exact same stats, but it's only going to work during warm weather. But it's a pretty building, and I don't mind it. Can I also get that one built as well? All right. The other brand new building we had added, and you might have seen it in the dev's last blog post. Yes, the last blog post. We have sports. We have a brand new City Stadium. Now, City Stadium is massive. It's built in the background, and that needs, 15 workers and 400, and can cope with 450 visitors at once. It does need to be above 5 degrees for them to use it, but it's quite massive. It's also very expensive. If I just drop that down, oh, it's got auto build on. Can I turn that, and can I just demolish that really quickly? Cool. Go away. And can I just copy and paste, because we just want to look at the cost. The cost is an awful lot of concrete, a decent amount of gravel, and a whole lot of steel. But yes, the amphitheater is here. It has, again, 2 pedestrians. One at the back, one at the front. The stadium has 4 pedestrian crossings on all the corners. And I've got to say, look, it looks very, very good. I believe they're playing sports. I believe this is the outline for sports. That's what they play on this particular field. Or maybe they run around circles. I'm not entirely sure, but it's one of the above. So, yeah, wonderful, wonderful new addition to the Republic. And I don't know. I'm not playing realistic, so I don't know if we're going to see it. But there's also now animations for when you have workers on site actually doing building. But because I'm not playing realistic, I might not. Might not get to see the workers on site. Okay, the other thing that has been added is under pedestrians, we have, under the pedestrian underpass, we have 2 new buildings. We have the Pergola and the Pergola. They're both very, very tiny little buildings, and I'm pretty sure they're just there as decorations. But there's an interesting feature I found with them. And interesting features are always interesting. Yeah, so let's see if we get workers. We're on the groundwork stage. I need the next stage, where we put up scaffolding. When we put up scaffolding... No, there are no workers on site. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's something I'm going to have to do in realistic mode, where you actually bring the workers to site. All right, so right here I have a bus stop, a nice free bus stop, and I have a free house. Well, a house, an outline of a house. And if I put in a dirt path, I make sure that dirt path is as short as possible. That is 60 meters worth of travel distance. And we can, pop that in there really quickly and hover over you and confirm that is definitely 60 meters worth of travel distance. But if I build a couple of pergolas, just a couple of pergolas, and then I connect them together and then double check things again, that's now 27 meters. It seems every pergola being about 11 meters long, makes the path about 11 meters shorter. Now, it does mean that if you're playing realistic mode, especially if you're playing realistic mode, it does mean that you have to maintain more buildings, and those buildings are going to last about 35 years. They're not terribly expensive, so I can imagine the maintenance cost is pretty low, but there is definitely times where 11 extra meters on a footpath probably makes all the difference. I know I've cursed myself more than once in this particular playthrough and built whole underground underpasses that cut 10 meters off a path just to make up that difference. So yes, now you have the option of just putting in a pergola. It sounds like a much cheaper option than a whole giant underpass. So that's one of the additions as well. We also have a couple of new things that have been added, like achievements. I'll put up a list of achievements right now on the screen, and we also have the DLC. Now the DLC does have 3 new biomes being added, and I want to have a look at them very, very quickly. The loose overview is we have a desert map, a tundra map, and also a tropic map. Yes, yeah, a little bit of something different compared to what we were used to in Workers. Oh, actually, there's one more thing, and that is your messages. Your messages now have, and actually this meant to be a second message. Dialogue, notifications. So we have the notifications up the top right hand corner. We also have new notifications down the left hand side. There is more detail, and you can get dates on things, which you could get prior to, but this menu I'm not a fan of. This much more prefer, and it has, important things like fire destroyed a building. That's now in red. Turns out the fire department didn't want to visit that one, but it did extinguish a fire just the day before. Yeah, okay. So we now have message icon colors. So I believe there's red, blue, yellow, and I want to say there's another color. But yes, you can customize these, of course. You can turn on there we go. Red, yellow, green, and blue. 4 different colors. Also, you can get to the notifications options right here. They were buried in the options menu. Now you get to it much easier. And like I said, I much prefer this notifications method. It's just a little bit quicker to track things down. But let's quickly go have a look at the DLC. If you own the DLC, you can access all the brand new map types from the main menu. All we're going to do is click custom game on page number 2. You'll find, the new maps. Let's grab an Asian map. We're going to leave everything on, let's just go with medium. Sure, let's go. And let's get a map generated. Okay, so on the Asian map, we have a couple of different things. So obviously the foliage is a lot different. Also, many of the buildings that pre-populate the map are very, very different, including having temples. That's very, very different. The other major thing that's going to happen in this particular map is, can I bring up resource overlays? Hopefully research is turned off. It is not turned off. Let's just turn that off really quickly. Game settings, can we turn off research? Thank you. And we have very, very large coal deposits, iron deposits, oil's pretty much the same, but one of the biggest changes with this map is it rains all the time. Like all the time. Like torrential rain all the time. So you're going to be very, very, very much have to make sure that you replace your dirt roads as soon as possible. The other thing I believe is there's no difference to fertility, and water is turned off. Of course it's turned off. Game settings. Can I turn on water management? Look, let's just turn on everything that I want. Crime, realistic off, research off. Cool. Back into the map. All right. So resources wise, everything should be the same. Water should be the same. No, that's the water substation. I want a water well. Water well is fine. So yeah, the biggest addition with this map is it's going to rain a lot, and a lot of the map is rocks. So terraforming is going to be horrible on this map. The bright side is construction. Can I get a gravel pit, please? Yeah, 80-90%, very, very regularly, just about everywhere. So gravel's very, very easy to come by. Just be warned that you're going to have to put down an awful lot of gravel roads very, very often. So the main challenge of this map is, the weather. The monsoon weather, the fact that it's going to be raining for large periods of the year, which means it's going to be a little bit difficult to deal with traffic flow. On the upside is you don't really have as much of a winter to deal with on this particular map. But that brings us on to the next map. Well, of course, being the Tundra. Back into maps, we're going to jump onto Siberia this time. I'm going to go for realistic, except I do not want, I want research disabled and I want realistic mode to be disabled. That's pretty much it. They're the only changes I want because I want to have a look at, well, all things. I can have always day 2. Cool, let's do that. Now, Siberia is going to be a little bit different. Mainly it's going to come down to the weather. The weather here is going to be horrible. It's going to be cold. And unlike in a traditional republic where it's only cold for about 4 months of the year, it's cold here for about 6 months of the year. Yep. So we also have a very, very short farming season. So I don't know if the farms give us any warning about that. Too late for sowing. Winter is approaching in May. Yep. That's a little bit worrying. So very, very short winters. In fact, can we just very quickly jump through time? So we have winter starting the very, very start of September. It is already down to 5 degrees at the very start of September. And in early December, we're at -32. That'd be chilly. I'm so glad the, well, natural inhabitants have their own internal heating. But yeah, be warned for very, very, very long winters. We're now in March. Yeah, winter's normally over and done with in the Republic. It's still -16. Yeah. It turns out it'd be cold in Siberia. Very cold. That's a wood bridge. Oh boy. Funnily enough, the rivers don't really freeze over. Okay. -20. Youch. All right, well, we're back into May where we started, and it's now 12 degrees. It's also still snowing. Yeah, now, workers and resources, I do love the game. I love the game an awful lot, but one thing that I've never liked about, well, winter itself is not so much the hassles of the winter, not so much the cold of winter. It's mainly not really even the snow. It's the glare. The game has a certain problem when it comes to just that much white on the screen at once. The trees definitely break it up here in Siberia, but there is an answer to that. There is an answer to that if you don't want to deal with snow at all, and that is, well, the Arabic maps. So if you want to look at the Arabic maps, of course, they always have the option there. We're going to go for, again, we're going to go realistic, so we have all the options. We're going to turn off research so we can look at everything, and can I set it to always day, just so we can see things easily? And realistic, we'll turn off realistic, I guess it doesn't really matter. But in Siberia, things are a little bit different. A lot less snow. That's an upside. Welcome to the Arabic nations, where we have, well, mosques. Yep. We also have, again, different buildings and also different tree types. But one of the big things you're going to find different about, well, this particular map is the sheer amount of coal you have and also oil. There's just a touch of oil on this map. Nothing too extreme. Just oil everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Now, we also need to add a couple of notes. One is going to be water and trees going to be different. Can we go to trees? I can plant bushes. Sure, palm trees. Let's try palm trees. Can I plant some palms? Can I zoom out and go right out in the middle of the desert? Maybe we can plant trees. Oh, I don't know if they're going to stay. Yes, you're going to have a problem with water outright. If we go to plumbing and you pop down a small water well, normally we could put these absolutely anywhere you wanted. But we have water amount in the area is a new stat. It's going to be a new stat that applies to the Arabic maps because, well, you are playing in a desert. Basically, if there is no shrubbery anywhere near you, there's no water. So if you have no water, you cannot put a well. So a lot of the high ground is ruled out. Also, same does apply to farms. If we look at a farm, we have humidity of field, which is an entirely new stat to me, and that is something you're going to have to keep an eye on if you want to get into agriculture. You might have to be in a situation where your particular republic just decides to buy all its crops from elsewhere, you know, in exchange for oil money. Is there an overlay? I don't think there is an overlay. No, I don't believe there is an overlay. The best you have is, well, the minimap and sort of the tree coverage as is. So if we swing around here, we see there's a decent amount of trees here. And that means if I grab a field, we can see 89, 99%. basically close to the river, the better. Yeah, so that is going to be my little tour of, well, the new additions for 1.0 and the DLC. I don't have any notifications. Since the loyalty seems low. Yeah, I'm not surprised, being that we have none of them. But yes, very, very different ways of playing the game and very, 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 very different biomes to look at. I am interested in continuing my current Let's Play. If you're interested in watching that Let's Play, catching up with me where we're up to, because I'm going to be moving that Let's Play across to 1.0. Obviously, by all means, there is a link down in the description. Also, a link in the first pinned comment below. And remember when I started the video, I asked whether I could borrow a like. If you found this video helpful, you thought it was, well, worth watching to the end, you were curious about what was happening in 1.0. That like that I asked whether I could borrow, is there any chance I can keep that like? Or if you didn't give it to me then, well, could I borrow it right about now? And keep it this time around. Oh, it comes with a wood cutting outpost. And some vehicles. Wow. Built into the map. Buildings without drinking water. I'm not surprised. We're in the middle of a desert. I'm not surprised at all. But yes, I'm going to leave this video here. As always, I thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed. And, well, I hope to see you in the very next video. All right, bye.